In this lesson, we're going to discuss how to remove inventory from Amazon's warehouses in order to reduce long-term storage fees. There are also a few other reasons that you would need to have inventory removed as well. And in this lesson, we're going to go over what those are, and I'll show you how to create a removal order inside of Seller Central. Now, removing items from Amazon's warehouses can either mean having it destroyed or having it sent to you or a 3PL. Both of these options come along with a fee, but the fees for this are pretty reasonable. It's helpful to know how to submit a removal order and get inventory out of Amazon's warehouses, not only to avoid storage fees, but for these other reasons too. If there is an issue with your stock, like it's mislabeled, or there's a quality concern, or it's been deemed restricted to sell by Amazon, you will need to remove it. Sometimes inventory becomes damaged in Amazon's warehouses and becomes unsellable. Returned inventory that is deemed to be in an unsellable condition will also need to be removed. You can also set up automatic removals for unsellable inventory like returns. Whether you have items destroyed or sent to you or a 3PL, the process is nearly the same. In order to create a removal order, come over to Inventory, Manage Inventory, select the product that you're looking to remove, click on the drop-down, and then come to Create Removal Order. The first thing you have to decide is whether you're shipping it out of Amazon to yourself or a 3PL, or whether you're choosing to dispose it. You make that decision immediately. If you dispose it, all these areas are grayed out. If you choose to ship it, then this is where you need to put in your name and address. If you're choosing to ship it out, you enter in the contact name of the person receiving it, and you also enter in the address that it's being sent to. Down the bottom here is where you select the amounts that you want to remove. On the left, you've got fulfillable inventory, and on the right, you have unfulfillable inventory, such as that's damaged and so forth. When you're ready, click Continue to start the process. On this next page is where you review the details of your removal order. Double check that everything is correct on the right-hand side, such as the shipping address if you're shipping it out. Once you're ready, click Place Order, and that one will get started. Here are the current FBA removal and disposal order fees. A few times a year, Amazon runs free removal periods for sellers with inventory performance scores of above 350. This is when Amazon will let you remove inventory without charging you to do so. This helps Amazon clean up their warehouses and free up space, and it helps you avoid fees by letting you remove inventory that likely won't sell or you're overstocked in. Amazon will notify you via email and will alert you in Seller Central of these periods. They typically last for a few weeks, and it's a great program which I highly recommend taking advantage of. If you have items shipped back to you, don't be surprised if you receive several packages. Even if you sent your inventory in all at once to one warehouse, Amazon reships your goods all over and you'll start receiving the removals from each warehouse. 3PLs are great to utilize in order to handle issues with large quantities of inventory, like in the mislabeling example. If this happens to you, you can create a removal order to have all the units shipped to a 3PL, pay them to relabel the units, and then reship them back to Amazon. Now let's talk about returned inventory in more detail. When buyers return your products, someone at Amazon checks them over and decides whether they're in the same condition as when they were sold, and that this is shown on your listing. These units are returned to your regular sellable inventory. If the items are not in the same condition as when they were sold or matches your listing, they're deemed unsellable. If they are unsellable, you will need to remove these units. You have the same choices for returns as you do other unsellable inventory. Have it destroyed or have it shipped to you or a 3PL. So as you can see, 3PLs are especially helpful in managing returned inventory. And even more so if you're living in one country and selling in another. You won't be able to have your inventory returned to you internationally, so in this case, you would need to have it either destroyed or have it shipped to a 3PL within that same country as Amazon, who can then manage it for you or can forward it to you in your country. Now, for some items, it may make sense to have the return units sent to you or a 3PL so they can be inspected, repackaged, and sent back into Amazon. But for lower priced items, this probably doesn't make sense, and you should just destroy any unsellable returns or inventory. But if you have higher priced items or items you know would sell even in a like new or used condition, it may be of interest to you to have them returned to you or a 3PL, repackaged and sent back in for sale. Now, if you do this, be careful with the condition. Be honest and list these units in the condition that they are. You can even add condition notes for each unit, such as item is in brand new condition, but retail packaging shows wear. Price these items accordingly, and there are buyers out there looking for deals like this, and you can recoup some of your costs. Don't try and pawn off used items or returns showing wear as new. You'll definitely get burned by this, and it could affect your selling privileges. The last thing I'd like to mention about returns is Amazon's customer return policy. In most cases, customers can request to return an item within 30 days of receiving it. Amazon will then refund the buyer's payment and wait for the item to be returned. If the item is not returned within 45 days of the return request, Amazon will charge the buyer and credit your account for the item. Amazon used to be really bad about this and would not charge the buyer and credit the seller without sellers writing into seller support. There were even whole businesses that did nothing but track down unreimbursed returns where the item was never returned and the seller was never credited. However, in the last year or so, Amazon has made great improvements to this process. I personally went through about 6 months worth of transactions and didn't find a single instance where Amazon owed me money for a return not received. That's not to say it doesn't happen though, so do keep an eye out. But if a refund was issued and a return was initiated, you should either be credited the unit back to inventory or the credit within 45 days. FBA fees will be taken out of this, but you should get the bulk of the money back. There is even a handy widget in Seller Central that allows you to input any order ID and it will tell you the status of a reimbursement. Go up the top to Help. Scroll down the page. Go across to Get Support under Need More Help, Selling on Amazon, Fulfillment by Amazon, Orders, then over to Request Order Reimbursement. Here's where you enter your order ID to check on the status of that reimbursement. Stranded inventory is the last type of inventory that you need to know about. Stranded inventory is FBA inventory in fulfillment centers that does not have an active listing or offer and therefore cannot be sold. When inventory is stranded, you'll need to reactivate the listing or remove the inventory. When you delete or close a listing or change it from Fulfilled by Amazon to Fulfilled by Merchant, it might strand your product. Product listing issues, infringement concerns, or system errors can also result in stranded inventory. You can see your stranded inventory and make the appropriate adjustments from the Inventory tab or Inventory dashboard. All right, so we made it to the end of another great module. You now have all the info you need to get inventory back out of Amazon's warehouses if you ever need to, and you know what to do with it once it's removed. There are many more things to discuss when it comes to managing your FBA inventory with respect to order quantities and timelines, which we'll go over in a future module. So join me in the last video of this module where we recap everything you've learned. See you there. Alrighty, this brings us to the end of the Managing Your Amazon Business module. In this module, we learned a lot about the things that customers never see and topics that are often overlooked in other courses or videos. The man himself, Jeff Bezos, once said, "If you don't understand the details of your business, you're going to fail." And it makes a ton of sense. Taking the time to learn the things that we covered in this module and continuing to learn as much as you can about how Amazon works and how to handle different situations that arise is just as important as any other step in the process. Now again, we've covered a lot in this module, but these are the key takeaways that I want you to have. Number one, never stop monitoring your listings and your business. New competition enters the market every day. So set alerts and track ranking within the Jungle Scout app. Make adjustments to your listing as needed. Number two, the health of your seller account can help you out when you really need it. So stay on top of Amazon's performance targets, request any seller feedback less than a 5B removed, Don't participate in any black or grey hat tactics and keep your inventory at optimal levels. Next, your customers are your business. Without them, you don't have a business. So keep them as happy as possible, even if it costs you a few bucks. It's worth it in the long run. Always use a genuine and helpful tone in your communications with buyers. Never participate in any messaging that is against or even close to being against Amazon's terms of service. Next, storage fees can stack up quick if you're not paying attention. So keep no more than 3 to 6 months of inventory at hand within Amazon and store the rest at a 3PL to save money. Create a removal order before the 15th of the month for items that will get hit with long-term storage fees on the 15th of each month. Keep your inventory performance index at or above 400 to get unlimited storage. Create removal orders for any unsellable or returned inventory. There are so many different situations and scenarios that come up during the course of running an Amazon business, and we've only tapped the surface here. Let us know in the Facebook group any other questions that you would like answered or topics that you want covered. We'll continue to add videos to the Academy to help you manage your business in the most efficient and profitable ways possible. Speaking of profitability, our next module will focus on analyzing your numbers and profits. You won't want to miss it. I'll see you there.